All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Bitcoin and Altcoin Trading Talk. I'm Joe with Coinigy, and I'm joined here with Brian Beamish from the Rational Investor. Glad to see we got some Adam's already here in the chat. Good evening, Adam. Nice to hear from you again. And welcome, Mr. Beamish. Thanks for joining.
Hello, Joe. So, Joe, you were back with the big bosses this past week, eh?
I was in New Jersey at the Coinigy headquarters, so it was nice to see some familiar faces. As those longtime listeners know, William and Rob, the two co-founders of Coinigy, they were there, so it's nice to see them. They've the ones who started the show back in the day with Brian, so it was nice to see everyone there, and then meet some of the new guys in person as well. Working remotely, you see a lot of work with people online, but so it's nice to see put some names to faces.
That's cool. Well,
Yeah.
and now you're back on the West Coast.
Yep. Yes,
You're
sir.
saying correctly, we're gonna about to go through a heat wave here, eh?
Yeah. So it's hit night mid 90s this weekend. So looking forward to that. Got some AC units ready though.
Are
So
you on the coast or are you like inland?
I'm inland in Portland, Oregon. So we're about an hour and a half from the coast.
Oh, really? Is that
Yeah.
what river is that? Is that the
The
Columbia?
Willamette.
Pardon me?
The Willamette River is the one that
Willamette.
comes through and then it splits off into the Columbia
Hmm.
between Washington and Oregon there. So
Okay.
not too far, but yeah, hopefully it don't melt.
Hopefully.
Go.
Fingers crossed.
Well,
Anyway, I guess we're here to talk crypto and
yes,
talk
sir. Well,
coins.
thank you for everyone who's submitted some coins to look at. We've got a list here. Additionally, if you've got some more, feel free to throw them in the chat there, and we'll do our best to take a look and um, talk about whichever ones you guys want to see. Um, so I'd say to get started,
Sure.
Brian, any
Then
anyone's
I don't know what we want to start with, where we want to go tonight.
So obviously,
Unfortunately,
the buzz this week has been a lot of these meme coins. See, like Pepe and they're all those BRC20 tokens, um, which has been interesting to follow on Twitter. But so
yeah.
maybe we just take a look at Pepe to start. And for it's the big
P was
buzz
a
PEPE.
PEPE.
Let's try Binance. I know they listed it last week and
Well,
uh
that might be a reason why it was pumping in itself, eh?
yeah, you see the daily charts, you only got a handful there.
Yeah.
Maybe Gate has a longer time. Gate IO, they seem to have some of those. Well, you're okay, little bit more, but yeah.
And I
So
guess has this thing been trading versus Bitcoin for a while?
I mean, it's these.
Actually, KuCoin, they're Koreans. They're usually pretty big on these things. Let's see what they probably had him around for. Oh, no,
Yeah,
no.
it's maybe not there.
Yeah, I guess I don't know where
It's I guess when I was
he's listed.
looked at the
Actually,
chart,
maybe
it
there
was
might be more
hourly.
data versus things like what does that say? Geez, BitMEX. God, I haven't seen BitMEX in a while. Um, yeah, anyway, it looks like all the data is relatively recent. Actually, Adam would probably know where the best place to trade this is. Huobi, of course, they're pretty old school. They've been around like as long as I've been in
Yeah, it looks
crypto.
like they've got the longest back in,
Yeah,
which is like
so
a month worth, which is ironic.
there's the logarithmic. And if anything, what ends up happening in this space, and it's kind of sad for like all the Bitcoin maxis and stuff like that. But usually at the end of all of these cycles, um, We have an old expression in the market, right? The shit always rises last. Um, and you remember, I think we've had this conversation before. Like you remember at the very end of that run that like Doge and all those guys went absolutely crazy there. And that was kind of a hallmark of the end of that move, right?
Yeah.
So
When Doge was hitting 60 cents or even 70 almost.
yeah,
Then
I think it got up into
big
that.
old red candlestick. And then another one and another one.
Right. Some we don't have a heck of a lot of data to
Yeah.
work with, so
Well
you
then
can't
let's go
really
on to some
extrapolate
we
too
can
much out of this.
yeah, well we can talk about
I guess just on a percentage basis. If anything, this is why you got to have your. It's funny in on the interneting. We use the expression you got to have your. I mean, I can swear on this
yes,
broadcast, right?
sir. Take it away.
So you got to have your stuff together, right? You got to have your act together. You got to be ready and ready to go. So I would make the argument that this cycle really started in sort of like November, December. And here we are in May, right? And there's an old expression, sell in May and walk
And walk
away.
away.
So this is a pretty good hallmark of the end of the move. And actually, I even put out a tweet the other day that seeing this kind of price action is actually a message unto itself about where we are in sort of the stage of the market cycle. And if anything, this is a little concerning, right? Because this stuff wouldn't rise like you see on the screen if we were in mid cycle.
You're saying that gaining 2,100% is not is concerning? What makes you say that?
Yeah. And the thing is, this is a logarithmic scale.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even like regular scale. I suppose that's your price chart. Can't even
Yeah.
really tell the difference, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But I guess just the point being that, this is hard. This is hard to do because what you really want to do is you want to gauge like 1 unit of price for 1 unit of time. And if you do that and you square your charts up, yeah, 45-degree angle is like a nice, normal, healthy trend line. So I think we've done this before, but probably even if we go off of here, right? So there's your normal healthy trend line, something along those lines.
Yeah.
So where's 45?
There you go. It didn't
Oh,
want to go. I saw it briefly.
there we
There
go.
we go.
So when we start doing this, it's just unsustainable.
Yeah.
So we had to come back down to earth. One of the reasons why I like using this 13 EMA, which you can see on here.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if that is that moving average. Anyway, um, these work as sort of, especially something like an exponential moving average. It works as a really good sort of mean, return to the mean revision, that kind of stuff. Works as a really good tool like that. So, like something like this, if you saw the price was a million miles away from the moving average, that's, another warning that, we're probably gone a little too far too fast. You can't really do a lot of long-term
Yeah.
analysis off of a chart that looks like that. I might say, for future reference, if you're watching this, right, you can always do things like fog and bombs. So not really a big surprise we stalled out at 4669 up there.
Yeah. Well, we can move on to another one. We got ICX or Icon on there.
ICX. And I guess the question is, do we want to look at this versus Tether? Do we
Let's
want
try
to
it
look
on Binance
at
there.
Binance? Yeah, something along those lines.
Maybe do USDT.
USDT. There you go. So, same sort of logic. You got to
Yeah.
move far away from the moving average. You're probably asking for trouble coming in and buying up top here. And then like we did there just a moment ago, you could probably do a nice, well, what a big surprise. Stalled out up in 4669. That's technically the chaos level bifurcation. So I don't know whether you've ever seen that, but it's kind of a fun image. Uh, when does price get chaotic? I don't know whether I spelled this right or not. Probably not. Anyway, here is that image. So have you ever seen me talking about chaos theory? What I'm really talking about is this.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the market moves along a trend. Then it gets to a point where it's like it can go to the next level or it has to revert back to the original breakout. So you can actually see this pretty well here. So you notice we ran up to 2.618 and the market had to back away. It couldn't accept above that. But you saw the other one earlier, right? It just blew right through 2.618
Yeah.
right here. But notice it went up to 4669, then it came right back to 2.618. See how it sort of did that?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like you could think of this as it went up 4669 and it had to come back down and test the original breakout. And if it can't hold that 2.618, it'll often go right back down to the original breakout level. So that's what happened here, right? So we went zooming up through 2.618, then came back down, and oh, lo and behold, look how it had to come right back to the original breakout there. So if we look at that next image, the ICX, and notice we went up to 2.618, had to back off. It did not break this original 100, accepted above 2.618 when zooming up to 4669. Couldn't accept above there, had to come back down to 2.618. Battle, 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 battle. Now that we've lost that 2.618 to the downside, my hunch is we got to come back down to 100%. And notice how we did that. Right? So sort of rejection at 2.618, and lo and behold, right back to the original breakout. And I might even argue that this study now is over now that we've actually broken back down into this original range. But, it's open to interpretation. And we're all students of the market. Nobody actually teaches this anywhere. So it's sort of like we're trying to just figure it out as we go. It's interesting too how you can see 877 actually lines up with that weekly 200 period moving average.
So why do you do the three, like the 200 and so the 200 day and the 30 day? What does what's the significance and benefits of having those moving averages on your chart?
Um, I think it's one of these things where every technician you sort of you play this game long enough and moving averages they start to sort of speak to you. They kind of why would you use this particular moving average? Like in the stock market, there isn't a Saturday or Sunday. So interestingly enough, a 30-week moving average is very similar to a 200-day moving
Okay.
average. And then interestingly enough, the 13 EMA, it often acts very similar to a 30 SMA. So like a 13 EMA on a weekly chart would be very similar to a 30 SMA on a daily chart. I don't, like the classic technical analysts would probably work with like a 50-day moving average.
Okay.
But me personally, I mean, like this is a whole can of worms. Um, I personally like to use the 30 period moving average versus the 50 period moving average. Um, I think it gives better trade location. Like price respects it a little bit more. So why, because 30 EMA is kind of it's an esoteric moving average. But here you can see I have the 30 EMA and I have the 50 EMA. Let's
Yeah,
go
I
back
see
to
what you
that.
mean. How it almost like hugs the chart a little.
I like it for trade location.
Okay.
Like so 30 is the yellow and the 50 is in teal. So, like here's probably a good example where it runs into the 30 SMA here. And if I'm hunting trade location and I see that, then that speaks volumes to me. But notice we never did get back to the 50 SMA there. I suppose it worked both here. Here's probably a really good example where the 30 SMA losing it right here is actually a validation of market structure right there. Whereas the 50 SMA didn't really help you a lot with sort of understanding what was going on here. This is probably a good one. You see 30 SMA, it bumps into it. That's the yellow, and it stopped. 50 SMA is there. I actually like that level a little bit better, and especially that railroad tracks right up there. And then notice how the 30 SMA acted as a interesting barrier here, but we never did get back to the 50 SMA. So I just find that the 30 SMA is a little bit crisper for actual trade location. Like interesting how the market rallied here, stopped right that level, but 50 SMA was of course below price. So how do you sort of have tools to help you see that as a trade location? And I like shorting against highs and buying against lows. So that would help me sort of see trade location a little bit better. So I think the 30 SMA is a little bit crisper. And it helps me see trade location a little bit better. I do understand a lot of people in the public, they follow the 50 SMA. I don't think it gives the best trade location. I mean, here's a good example. Can you see how this double top formed here? Up, down, up. And notice the breakdown day that confirmed that M there is the
Mm-hmm.
same day that it crossed through the 30 SMA there.
Hmm.
So again, it helps me sort of validate and see trade location better. Whereas the 50 SMA was down in this area here.
Make note of
So
that in my trading journal.
that's good. We should get you one of those TRI pads.
I'd love one.
Um, so we, actually I do in our level 2 program, we go into moving averages and using moving averages to help you see trade location. Here's
Yeah,
another good
so
example.
yeah, you mentioned your level two. So I know you guys just started a new semester. If you want to quickly talk about uh your school and like what the semesters, how it's structured
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we
briefly
could take a bit of
for the
time.
listeners that are there. If anyone wants to.
Yeah. I mean, see, the thing is, I've been at this a very, very long time.
Mhm.
35 years. That's a hell of a long time. So, how am I going to teach all of you guys everything that I've learned in 35 years? And of course, everybody wants it like in a 2 hour podcast or something. So, it's almost next to impossible.
Yeah.
Um, So the way that I built the program was I wanted to, and it always happens this way. Anybody who's actually worth their weight as an educator in this space always starts with the topics that people absolutely hate. So I have to start, if I'm going to do this education program correctly, I have to start with how do you set yourself up to succeed and actually come to the market with the expectation of actually making money from doing this, right? Versus You could have bought the Pepe coin there just a couple days ago, and now you're dying 1,000 deaths, right? And you're like,
Yeah,
I just sold my house and put all my money in Pepe coin,
I hope
and
not.
I'm bankrupt, right? I'm wiped out or whatever. I mean, that happens more often than. And the sad part about it in this game, Joe, and this is the worst part about this, is you will always hear about the winners. You will always hear about, oh, look how big my you know what is. Look at me. I'm the man, right? You'll always hear those stories. But you
Not
will
the ones that are sleeping on
never,
the couch.
but you will never hear the stories of guys that get wiped out. Unless, of course, there's some like public company and they have to file bankruptcy, and they have some sort of horrific financial disaster, like Three Arrows Capital kind of thing, or Luna, or SBF and that idiocy.
Yeah.
So the point being that I start the education program, and there are 3 levels. The school's already done, so we probably should have done this a week or two ago.
Yeah.
But we have this basic page that outlines sort of the registration, and then some testimonials and stuff. But I think we also have just an outline of the program. So the first month or two of the level 1 program, and if you do this right, you should go through level 1, 2, and 3. And now we even have a level 4, which is crazy, but oh well. I suppose we got to have a level 5 next. But and the first month or two, this is all about super stuff that we get at least a dozen students that this just drives them crazy. So, we want to do things like build a trading plan. We want to identify who you are and why you're even doing this. We need to identify what is your past experience and what baggage are you bringing to this equation. And the worst part about all this is that somebody who has absolutely no experience and no education in this always does way better than the guy who's been banging away on his own for like 5-10 years and has picked up this year and that there. And quite often they actually pick up a lot of really bad habits that we have to somehow get them out of the student's sort of psyche. So a big um, we have a philosophy that you journal to download your emotions. You don't want to bring your emotions to the trading pit. The market doesn't care about whether you're happy or sad. And sadly, it will actually feed off of your anxieties. It will get you. Have you ever heard me use the expression the market is designed to take away as
Making
much
money.
money from as many people as much of the time as possible.
Yeah.
That's what the market's job is to do. And those people that can't sort of control their emotional outbursts, market's just going to eat you alive. So sucks. So we have to put a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of tools in place to help you deal with those emotions. Things like a trading log, actually tracking every single thing you do in the market. How do you track it? What should you track? Trading journal. I ask all students to observe 3 things, and you should do the same thing. Number 1, what did I see? What happened? It's always a good idea to write down, holy crap, Bitcoin went to all-time highs today. Woo! But then also too notice, well, actually I'm pretty pumped. Maybe I'm a little too excited. I don't know. Always a good idea to check in with your emotional state. So what did I see? Um, what did I learn? Did I actually learn anything? Because keep in mind, the market is always teaching us. We're always students of the market. And then finally, and really this is the most important thing that you have to journal every single day, is how do I feel? And for a lot of men, this is very, very difficult. I fight with a lot of men over this. They just will not acknowledge their feelings. And, maybe you had a bad night's sleep. Maybe you have a newborn at home that's kept you up all night, right? And you're like, well, I got to trade, I got to make money. Well, do you think that you not having any sleep is going to affect how you act in the marketplace? And if you say no, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Okay? So, there's those three things. If you're going to learn something from watching this video tonight, every single day, journal. What did I see? What did I learn? How do I feel? And you'd be surprised when you get into the habit of downloading those three things, then, maybe you do have a really bad trade,
Yeah.
but it helps a lot in dealing with the anxiety over that if you just write it out, get it out. So that's a big thing that we teach in the level 1 program that doesn't have anything to do with squiggly lines. I mean, the irony of it all is that, there's a hell, I don't know, I'm sure you do, but I'm sure the audience does too. You can go on YouTube and you could probably hear 20 different technical indicators that all of them, like the YouTube shorts and everything,
Mm-hmm.
they say, well, this is the one indicator that you need. This is it. Just this one indicator, and you're going to make a fortune. And so, I mean, there's tons of squiggly lines. It's ridiculous how many different ways to squiggle a line. But the irony of making money from trading, it actually has very little to do with the squiggly lines. And it has everything to do with, can you control yourself? So, huge part of our introductory program is doing nothing more than just equipping you with all of the tools that I believe 35 years playing this game that you need to be able to control yourself. Trading plan, trading logs, trading journals, strategic vision, tactical vision, risk management, all this kind of stuff. That all goes into running the business of trading. So, and I think this is actually what distinguishes us from probably 95% of the educational programs out there in the world with regard to trading. I don't see very many people who actually teach programs on how to trade that actually deal with this psychological component of running your business. And it's not easy, especially if you're brand new to this. Our level 1 instructor, he wants you to do 100 paper trades. That's a lot of paper trades. And that's just literally, I'm going to buy at this price. I'm going to risk to this price. I'm going to take profits at this price. If some sites have paper trading engines built into them, and you track exactly what happens, because you'd be surprised. I often tell people this. I'm sure I've said it to you before. What do you think, just out of curiosity, Joe, what do you think I think about your opinion about what's going to happen in the market?
You
And
don't
maybe
care?
not you in
No,
particular.
I know, but
Let's
it
take
doesn't
Chris.
matter.
What do I think about what Chris? Got to put a smile on Chris's face. It doesn't matter. Even my opinion, for that matter. Wait, what do you think people's opinions are worth in my eyes in the marketplace? Yeah, big fat zero. They're just not worth anything.
Yeah.
Now, setups, or you've gone through the process and found a number of conditions. When all of these conditions are met, you have found that over time, remember, like 100 paper trades, maybe you had to do that many to figure it out, but you found that, hey, this particular sort of set of circumstances, when everything falls in line and these things happen, the odds of me seeing a desirable outcome are greater than the odds of seeing an undesirable outcome. Those are that's what's called a setup. And those are priceless. And so, you can make the argument that our first part of our education program is just teaching you the basics of how to run a small business of trading. And then the level 2, the second half of the level 1 program is teaching you two basic setups that I've used over the years that I personally have found work well for me. And the irony of it all is that every trader is different. So just because these setups work well for me and my personality type, and by the way, for the record, one of the things that we like to do in the education program is have people, you can even see by pre-search, have people actually take personality tests,
Oh
figure
yeah.
out what type of person you are. And it turns out I am what they say an ENFJ, which ironically enough is actually very well suited to be trader. So the world of trading and this very regimented, structured behavioral pattern that you have to follow and holding yourself to account and doing what you said you're going to do. This actually speaks well to my personality type. So it doesn't surprise me I'm in the financial services industry.
Kind of.
But also too, and the interesting thing about an ENFJ is some of the characters. I actually fancy myself in a weird sort of way. I fancy myself as Morpheus. I mean, I'm not the guy that's going to go into the Matrix and beat the bad guy, although I'll try. I'll do my best. But I'm the guy, and that's the whole point of this education program is kind of like Morpheus had to sort of open Neo's eyes to reality and then go into all their programs and stuff and teach him how to fight. I know Kung Fu, right? And all that kind of, you remember those lines, right?
Yeah.
And I'm the guy that goes, okay, show me. Let's see what you got, that kind of thing. And I like to be that enabler. I tell people repeatedly, and there are some people right now on social media and stuff that I don't know why, but they're calling me a fraud. But my aspiration in life is to turn all of you into better traders than I am. That's my goal in life. That's the whole mission of why JoJo came to me after she passed and said, you have an opportunity to make a real positive difference in this world. And I
Which you
fancy
are.
myself this guy. I'm not going to go and topple the world and the bad guy, but I will help Chris do it. And it's really cool watching Chris. He is walking the path, and it's beautiful to watch him in action. Everybody watching this video right now, we asked Chris to come in and help run the video stream while Joe gets a half decent computer to work with. Arr, arr,
Har har har.
arr.
They're all anti MacBooks over there.
But anyway, so and Chris is actually he doesn't even have to do anything now, and he's already going to pass prop firm performance tests, and all he has to do is just keep his nose clean until the end of the evaluation period. He's already made them the money that they want. So this stuff works, and my job as a facilitator to help you be the best trader you can possibly be. I think this program has lived up to its billing. So level one it's a lot about you got to learn what a trader's life is all about and what it is that you actually have to do to succeed at this. Level two is a continuation of concepts. We spent a lot of time talking about trade location. I might argue that this, mind you, this could also be trend identification. This, this,
It
this.
all falls under.
They're all trade location tools. So every week we give, like in the level one program, we teach you one trade location to the reload zone, and the AB equals CD concept. In the level two program, it's not really like this is the end of one program. Really, they should all be sort of it just moves along. But you have a university degree, right? I mean, you can't Did you have any courses that were actually like in September you started and your final exam was in like April, May?
No, it's
No.
always like how it's set up for you. You got your semester. So yeah, it was like
Well,
September.
it turns out they've done studies, and the human brain has a very hard time sort of holding on to information more than about 90 days before it has to go through sort of we got to check to see whether you actually retain this. So there's a reason why school programs are in that trimester sort of format.
Yeah.
um, and I personally found as well, after about 12 weeks of hammering away, the students really need a break. They gotta they gotta have just some downtime to digest what they've been given, and then actually start to regurgitate it and show me that they actually retained it. So that there's a very specific reason. After this 12 weeks, we have a final exam, then about a month off, just very similar to like, any university program. And then the level two, it's just literally we just continue along the journey. Um, as well, too, in the level two program, because I was an options and futures commodities broker. I think there's benefit, especially Mr. Gann. Point and figure charting is a really good module to sort of teach you the history of technical analysis in North America. It was actually a very, uh, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Step by step evolutionary process with TA.
Mhm.
It developed in a very natural sort of format.
Here's
And the interesting
here's how
thing
to create.
is we've been doing chaos theory with you a little bit, and it's
Mhm.
incredible to see the juxtaposition of something like chaos theory and the way that like 100 years ago there were no computer charts. And in fact, drawing out like $2.15 to $2.20 every single day on a price chart by hand is a mind numbing, and people can't do that, for like 100 different securities. So how did they 100 years ago keep track of all this stuff relatively consistently and accurately? So to a certain degree, and also like I said, with the futures markets and the commitments of traders, this is we can use these to make good market decisions. It's very, very advanced stuff. You're never going to hear anybody in the public ever talk to you about point and figure charting. But as well as adding technical tools to your technical tool belt, these modules also are actually a really good history lesson. Because I think if you're going to teach a program about TA and trading, I think it behooves us to know, who are some important historical figures in this space. Mr. Gann, everybody needs to have a history lesson on him. But also too, like how did this industry actually evolve? And the people that are involved in the crypto space, I would make the argument that the evolution of the stock market in North America followed exactly the same pattern. They used to call the junior speculative market in the United States at the turn of the 20th century, they used to call it the curb market, CURB. Why? Because the brokers stood out on the curb. They couldn't even afford an office inside a building. They were trading stocks right on the goddamn street. you know, is
Impressive.
that not a good analogy to Binance?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
something along those lines?
Yeah. That's too
Maybe more
funny.
like tracks, I guess.
Yeah. So they just uh filed for bankruptcy finally. I know that they announced they were moving out of the US, but on the
Well, I
rep,
think that was sort of their official
yeah,
we are officially
we're
no
done.
longer in the United States of America. SEC, go fuck yourselves,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
they're
that was basically what that was. Excuse my French. I apologize, everybody on social media, and I'm ruining the algorithm and stuff. I have a terrible habit of being so potty mouthed. But anyway, So Trex is an interesting story, and I've been with them since 2014, I guess. So I've been along the whole journey with them. But anyway,
Yeah.
so
Cool.
level three was kind of like, well, I wanted to circle back. Level one was a big sort of education into what's it going to take to actually get a small business of trading up and running. And then, I wanted to give students a good 6, 8 months or so working with the tools. And then the level three program, this is what we would call our advanced program. Anybody who can complete the level three program gets sort of like a veteran tag on the site. And I know that if you can complete the level three program, I don't have to worry about you as a trader. You understand risk management, you understand trading plans, and of course, it takes at
Guys
least
like
a
Chris.
year. Pardon me?
That's guys like Chris.
Yeah, I would say I would not have a problem. If anything, all of Chris's family, if they're smart, they should ask Chris, can you help me just set myself up for success investing for the rest of my life? I think Chris would give them an excellent guiding sort of hand. And the irony of it all, I mean, this is the irony of it all, Joe, is that if I do my job correctly, you can get through level three, you can pass the final exam, get a veteran tag. Um, you're going to have a very difficult time actually interacting with people who are uneducated in the marketplace. It actually becomes extremely frustrating because once you do the education program and you go through the whole process of getting trained correctly, you listen, like, why you probably had it in your life, right? When did your family call up and ask whether they should be buying Bitcoin? Do they do it at the bottom of the market or do they do
No,
it at the top of the
is
market?
that 60,000?
Yeah. I mean, it's so cliche, it's ridiculous. I mean, I have this one uncle of mine, love him dearly. He's never really been that good at managing money through his life, poor guy. But he is really consistent. Every time the top of the market comes in, I can almost guarantee Uncle Bill will call me and ask me whether he should be buying Bitcoins. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, oh, you drive me crazy. And then I'll do something like I'll say, look, I'll train you how to do this. But first, you have to put your money away.
Yeah.
And you have to learn what we call the process. That's what I'm showing you here. This is the process. Um, and of course, as soon as I get a week or two into that, they disappear. Oh, this is boring. I don't want to do this. I'm going to go do something else. Anyway, so level three program, we circle around and, our day traders, I think, once you get to the level three program, you have enough knowledge to actually start thinking about actually being a day trader. So, we do things like what does a day trader's workbench look like? And they got to have a whole bunch of tools. One tool that I absolutely love, and I give out, in fact, I have to fill it out a lot myself, but it's just, it's a trader's life. It's the way it goes. See if I can show you this. I don't know. Well, I guess, just bear here with me a second. I mean, this is a really cool testament to what we do. In our library, like our library right here, we've actually had people say that, the site subscription is worth just the library, let alone all of our algorithms and stuff like this. But we have this library that we put together with all the links and stuff and all. Anybody who wants to come and learn a little bit more about TRI, we have letters and stuff like a letter of introduction. I wrote a couple of documents. I even think I gave them to you guys at Coinigy years and years ago about how to trade and stuff. Of course, there's where you're going to get your trading journal and all that kind of fun stuff. Actually, we had one site member recently actually create a whole user guide for the website, which is super cool.
That's awesome.
But the point here is we also have a whole bunch of utilities that, again, our traders, our education program. And the one that I wanted to show you, this is a really good example of, okay, so you fancy yourself a professional trader. That means that it's you managing yourself on your own in the marketplace. If you're lucky, you have a trading partner. But this is what we call the demon finder. And this helps a lot in trying to identify where you're making mistakes. And ironically enough, what often ends up happening is we actually make the same mistake over and over and over, and we don't even realize it. But a document like this will clearly illustrate where you're screwing up. And as you can see, there are a number of ways to screw this thing up. And it can be an issue with regard to your setups. And if it's actually an issue with regard to setups, then believe it or not, actually, that's relatively easy to solve. A lot of the times we screw up because of behavior. Like we are impatient. We don't trust the process, that kind of stuff. So these are the kind of tools that we go into in our advanced program to try and empower traders to actually like take responsibility. Where are you screwing up? How are you going to address this? How are you going to deal with these problems and correct them? We also have things like a trader report card. I actually think it's a good idea that every trader, every quarter, fill out a report card and give yourself a grade. How are you doing? What is your train? Like when it comes to planning, what's your financial plan look like? How about your position trading plan? How about your swing trading plans? How about your day trading plans? Give yourself a grade, right? Under the heading of self-control, how's journaling going? Have you established a daily routine? What's your diet like? How about your exercise routine? Brian could use more exercise. How's
You and
your
me both.
social? Actually interacting with other humans is pretty important for us silly humans. So, just the point being that something as simple as doing this on a quarterly basis, are you actually serious about moving forward with your career as a trader? So these are the kind of things that we do in the
Cool.
advanced program. It's not just sort of the cookie
Yeah.
cutter, kind of little old lady. Well, I just want to just learn how to buy, stuff and manage a simple plan. This is like, am I actually, running an effective small business of trading and holding myself to account? So,
That's awesome. Thank you for breaking that down for me.
yeah. Also, too, we explore some advanced concepts. In fact, actually, I was talking with the community today. One of our OGs sort of runs our harmonics room on the site. I don't like to talk harmonics to beginners in trading because it's actually really confusing. So that's an advanced topic. And then, of course, I don't ever like to talk about derivatives, and really specifically what I'm talking about here are options and warrants and rights. These are products that you actually buy in the marketplace, and if they don't perform, they actually disappear. Poof! Wow, they have an expiry date, and at the end of that date, if they haven't performed, then they literally expire worthless. So lots and lots of heartache in this world over options trading. So I don't even like to talk options unless I'm talking with my advanced students.
Yeah, I've never even touched it. I knew that that's just not smart for me to jump into with my minimal knowledge.
Right. And then, so we spend a good month introducing you to some very basic concepts. I have forced trading strategies that I used to use as a broker that were really, really basic, and I teach them in the program. And then we finish up the program with we touch on some of these topics in the beginner program, but we go into like much more detail here. In fact, actually, I see we're missing a couple topics that are in the advanced course here, but that's that's here and there. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the point being that uh, this is a very heavy, very thick, a lot of reading, a lot of work, and very advanced. And now, interesting enough, we have a level 4 that's all about taking the options trading to the next level and trading spreads. But I don't want to even mention that to you because Really, I don't think any of your viewers and Coinigy. I mean, have you ever reached out and talked with Deribit? Because you probably could do stuff with
We've
Deribit.
no, we've got Deribit for charting, but
Hmm.
we have not implemented trading.
So I would say that those kind of conversations are around. One day maybe we explore Deribit.
Yeah.
So anyway, the point
Cool.
is this a very very advanced, and like I said, once you get to this point in the education program, if you can write this final exam for the level 3 and pass it, you get basically a lifetime basic membership to the site. I want you around. You are knowledgeable. You know how to play the game. You understand all of the nuances of this game. And, you know, our lounge, I don't know whether you popped into the lounge or not.
Uh, I have.
Um, but our lounge is it's filled with our OGs, which I absolutely love. And they're just posting away, just doing their thing. It's funny. We like to make fun of politicians and stuff, and some people do like post, personal self growth exercises, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this is a great environment just to hang out in. And like I said, me putting together this whole group of actually educated people in the marketplace, it actually becomes a really safe place for new people just to park themselves, because nobody's shilling anything. There
Mhm.
is no shill. There is no, oh yeah, we're in on this hot coin deal. You better get some, and use our affiliate code and all that kind of stuff. We just don't do any of that stuff.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
cool.
hope that helps.
It does.
Unfortunately, the course is so big. I mean, it takes like a full year to basically go from beginning to end. And the irony of it all is they always say that actually, this is an expression. I took a job out of when I came out of UBC at an accounting firm here locally in Vancouver. And I didn't want to work at the accounting firm. I told them I was going to stay there 1 year and then I was going to head off to the stock market because that's where I wanted to work.
Hmm.
And the directors actually got really angry at me at the end of the year when I said, "That's it, I'm done. Here's my 2 weeks notice." They're like, "We just spent the whole year training you. You don't even know a job until you've done it for 1 year, and now you're leaving." And I'm like, "Hey, I told you day one I was going to only be here a year, so sorry."
Yeah.
But but that's a good analogy for trading. I mean, I tell everybody this. And I don't know, Chris, you have been educated. I don't know whether you feel like chiming in here or not, but would you agree with me? Would it take a solid year of just being in the market in a nice, safe environment to really understand what this job of trading is all about?
At least a year, if
At
not a little
least.
bit more. Yeah, I definitely say that. Yep.
Yeah. So that's one another reason why this education program is, I like to do it over a full solid year. So it's like 12 weeks, take a break for a month, 12 weeks, take a break for a month, 12 weeks, take a break for a month. A year has now gone by. You should have a pretty good idea what the hell this thing's about. And then, ironically enough, just because now you know what this job's about, then, and as this probably speaks to what Chris is saying, then you have to take probably a good year of actually practicing everything that I've taught you in the market. So by the time that all rolls around, we're through the bear market, we're back in the bull market. And you know who's a really, really good example of this? And if anything, maybe we should try and circle around and get them a part of this show. I would like to invite some of my OGs that have gone off and started their own services. Paul, for example, he was helping me with the shows before I hooked up with you here recently. Ben, but I actually did a show with the guys at Hero Exchange. And Colin, oh God, now this. God, how am I going to do this now? I don't know why Alan's done this, but man, it's frustrating using Twitter now. I'll tell you that much. Hopefully, I can find it in here. But I did a show with these guys at Hero Labs.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, it's so cool. We did this video with them. They had me on their show just talking to them. And this gentleman here, one of the parts of the video, the full video, it had like the 4 screens. Maybe we can show you here. And sorry for the plug for another site. This guy. So Colin here is a total TRI-OGer, and he's also a Canadian too. So super, super good karma. One of the nicest people you will ever meet in your life. And it turns out that Jedi here also took the TRI level 1 program too.
That's
so,
awesome.
you know, it would be fun to maybe invite them on to one of these Coinigy shows through the week, you know, down the road. And we can talk a little to you. I feel very comfortable talking. You know, both of them are basically disciples of mine. It was a really, really good conversation. And I'd like to see if we could have some more TRI OGers that have gone off and started their own services and stuff on this show. I think it would be great to demonstrate to you and your audience that yes, you know, as soon as you get educated. So Colin was exactly that. Colin took about a year or two to get fully educated. He had to go through the whole bear market of 2019, 2000, beginning of 2020. He came right to the brink of like, geez, this is it. If this doesn't work, and then we head into a new bull cycle, and then he made more money than all of us put together. He was one of the financiers of Magic Internet Money. So I don't know whether you know what that is.
Yeah.
But Colin did very, very well. So.
Nice.
So I don't know. I hope that helps answer your question.
It does.
Obviously, it was about a half an hour answer. Sorry about that.
No worries at all. No, that's really cool. Glad
Now at least you know a
about
little
it. I'm
bit
gonna
more
have to
about
sign up for it.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too. That's the weird thing about this education is everybody that I've given this course to, it's not in your best interest. In a weird sort of way, the people that do best at this, number one, are people that don't have that much experience because they don't come with a whole bunch of baggage that I have to unwind.
Mm-hmm.
And then number two, the people that actually step up and pay for the course because they've got some skin in the game. And they're like, okay, well, I paid this money. I'm going to get my money's worth, damn it, you know, kind of thing. So, anyway, so sorry, I'm not going to give you the course for free.
Wasn't asking.
It's actually not in your best interest. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna have to make the time for it.
Yeah. I mean, the good part about it is the information is universal. You know, like some of the concepts that we teach you, you know, W.D. Gann lived 150 years ago. So actually, well, let's say 100. You know, the candlestick charting that we teach you, that was actually developed back in medieval Japan to actually trade rice, what they used to call kuku. So a lot of these concepts that we teach you are actually like hundreds of years old. So it's not like we're reinventing everything. It's just this program, I think, actually does a really good job of just wrapping it all in a nice digestible package. So. All right, we'll go back to our analysis here of this ICX. And my apologies, everybody, for being so long-winded.
No worries.
For bearing with us. You know, you do see this big M staring us in the face. So you've worked with me long enough now, Joe, that you know when we see M's, we probably need to cool our jets.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, you see how this M
turned into a W.
Actually turned into a W.
Yeah.
But you could argue, interesting enough, in this particular case, market told you here, all right, the bull is on pause and even gave you exactly the price at which the market paused at. All right, now we're back into a bull, and you notice it's almost exactly the same price. So in this particular case, this is a good example where the market told you to get out, then the market told you to get right back in at basically the same price. So that's one good way, sort of outcome of understanding technical analysis is what we're really trying to do here is we're trying to hear the message of the market. And I would make the argument the market is trying to tell us, look, at maybe our best just to hop off on the sidelines. And then, okay, well, the coast is clear. Let's all get right back in and away we go for our next run. So that's an interesting anecdote. For the time being in the short term, lower highs and lower lows defines a bear. I mean, I suppose you could make the argument this is actually, let's see, let's quiz you. What is it when we see price comes back down and tests the original breakout level? What do we call that?
Is that the Head and Shoulders?
Not quite.
Oh,
We call this the Wyckoff check.
oh yes.
So Richard Wyckoff sort of found that this happened quite often, that markets would break out, they would come back and they would kiss the original breakout level and then turn back up. So that's kind of what I see happening here right now. I'll throw on my funky moving averages that I like to study. So this is a daily price chart. Oops, let's go here. Might even argue, is it worth our while zooming out, maybe looking at a weekly price chart? One reason why I really like using these particular moving averages, they're very fractal in nature. So you can see the 13 EMA on the weekly chart broke below the 30 SMA on the weekly chart. To me, that's a bearish momentum signal. And indeed, down we went. So I suppose it's encouraging. You can see that the moving averages did turn back up. Could you make the argument this is nothing more than just a check of the original market bottom? Yeah, I think so. That's not a bad idea. On the daily chart, there is that W down, up, down, breakout. So all we did was we just came back and kissed that level. From our reload zone perspective, if we throw on here 61.8, 78.6, and because this is venture cap, we'll also check out the 88.6. So this is a good example where we've come right back down into the classic reload zone. So we do technically have okay trade location. It's not terrible.
Okay.
The trend on the weekly basis is still pointing up. If anything, what I'd like to see to know that this thing actually is legit, I want to drill down to a daily chart. And do you remember how this goes? If we have location, that was reason number one. What was reason number two?
The indicator confirmation.
Right. So ideally what I'd like to see is that we're making lower lows in price, but the indicators are actually not. So let's see, is that the case? Indicator still making lower lows.
Okay.
Indicator still making lower lows. My overbought, oversold indicator is he is oversold, so that's a good sign. This would be a bad place to be a seller as far as I'm concerned. It's kind of like down here. You see, maybe you can see this, maybe you can't. You see how this yellow line got below this dotted line here, over here? So if we just say, you know what, and this is basically why I built this indicator. Down in this area, this might be a bear. It might be a crappy asset. I don't know. But technically speaking, is this the best place to be a seller? Probably not. No. Maybe you want to wait for some sort of dead cat bounce to get the market out of there and then sell. So, was that a good idea? Well, you see, there is that box. And sure enough, would it have been a good idea to get sucked into the bearish story and sell down here? I don't think so.
No.
And you can see this market actually turned around and got actually what I call stupidly overbought. Yellow line got above this line up here. That would have been a better area for you to be a seller. So same thing on the other side. When this yellow line gets above this minus 20, that's probably not a good place to be a buyer. So sure enough, that was there. Do you really want to step in and buy that there? I think I would prefer to wait for this thing to calm down, and that would be like, okay, we're going to come in on the buy side over here, which I think I mean, this price didn't collapse, but at the same time, too, technically speaking, can you see that bearish divergence? Like if we look at RSI, you notice that at this point we're making lower highs, and yet the price of the asset itself is making higher highs. You see that? So that's not a good sign, right? So you want to let this develop, play itself out, and then notice, oh, look, there's the W's in RSI. This is where it's bullish. So, and we cleaned up all that overboughtness, and now the yellow line over here, it's sort of just middle of the indicator. Does that make sense?
It does.
So what's the situation now? Well, I would like to report that RSI is making not making new lows, but that's not the case, is it?
Yeah.
I will say though, my MACD histogram, which I'm not going to go into explaining how this works, but we'll just, just take it for whatever it's worth. You can see that it is making higher lows, even though price is making lower lows. So that's a good sign. It means technically, internally, notice it was making higher lows in here and pointing up. And sure enough, well, there's a big rally that ensued. So MACD is trying to turn. I would like to see both of these turning back up. So, maybe what we get is we get a nice little W and RSI here. Boom, boom, boom. And up we go. And really, for the RSI fans, probably the best thing to do is just draw a trend line off of those peaks. And when the market actually starts putting in bullish structure on the other side of this trend line, then this RSI is starting to turn back bull. So you can see we're above that line now. What we really want to see is we want to see a W in here, right? So it's coming along. We have somewhat okay trade location. Market is oversold. I'd like to see this develop, these divergences. If anything, I'd almost like to see the price go to new lows here, but RSI not go to new lows. Then we can start going, we got some serious divergence here that we ought to pay attention to. So that's encouraging. Also, too, it's nice to see that the buyers are trying to return here. Somebody did come up last week. I guess just yesterday. So maybe somebody knew some news or something. This is also another reason why I like to use these particular moving averages. Do you see how the 13 EMA often stops bull and bear moves? So you see the market ran up, bang, right into that and rejected. Ran up into it, bang, rejected. Bang, ran up, bang, rejected. Ran up, bang, rejected. So what I'd really like to see is I'd like to see the market get, and notice same thing here, ran up, rejected, ran up, rejected. Then notice we closed above the 13 EMA. And then it tried to actually go back below, but it couldn't. And that was your green light that, oh boy, here comes a rally.
Okay.
But the fact that these moving averages are above price right now, they're going to act as resistance. So, maybe wait. Also too, have you heard me talk a little bit about maybe concerns over this May-June period?
Yes.
Did you see what Bitcoin did today? And halfway through our daily video, Bitcoin started to
Yeah, it's a big old drop.
Whoa, what's going on? What's going on? And actually, we won't talk Bitcoin today, but the guy that actually did the social media post that got everybody freaked out a month or two ago, he did another post today. Now, I don't know. Did he put a bottom in the market? I don't know. But it just goes to show that this asset class is highly, highly susceptible to social media and social media influencers. So anyway.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
No W in price. So we definitely know that there's no like outright buy signal. Divergence, not quite there. But it definitely looks to me like we are way too late to be sellers. And really that kind of makes sense because the public, if Bitcoin does puke out here, the public is going to come in on the sell side in here and give up on these stories. And the irony of it all, green boxes, I'm probably going to be coming in on the buy side into their sell orders. In fact, actually, I even bought something today. So I will buy into weakness. That's what I do. In fact, somebody had kind of made a joke the other day. I don't get a lot of viewers on my YouTube videos and stuff like that because I'm a contrarian. When this market's going like this, everybody on social media, right? And you get all the likes and millions of follows and all that.
This is what you need to buy. Buy this.
Exactly, right?
Millionaire.
And the asset's moving up. See, maybe we can do it like this. Are you gonna work? So the asset is moving up like this, and somebody does a video and we're all gonna get rich, right? Millions of followers and all that kind of stuff. And what's Brian doing up here? Brian's going, you idiots, what are you doing buying up there? All right, nobody likes those kind of videos, but that's what I do. And then conversely, down here, when we get down into here, if we actually start Wing out down here and everybody's been washed out and, all the people that bought up here, in fact, Joe, you've been working with me long enough. You know exactly where these people are sleeping right now.
On the couch.
That's right. So we get down to here. Nobody's interested in crypto anymore. It starts Wing out very quietly, and Brian's going, okay, it's time to buy. It's time to buy. And everybody's like, well, why? It's just sitting there. It's going sideways. Why waste my time? And then I'm the type of guy that, I'll just work sell orders at these levels up top. And then when the public gets all crazy bullish, I'm selling into their euphoria. So
Yeah,
I don't know. Did I beat that one into the ground? Do you have a pretty good idea what I'm thinking?
I do.
All right.
I've got a good understanding. I actually have another one for you here. It's
All right.
yeah,
We got 4 people watching this video. Isn't that hilarious?
we were at double that.
Oh, really? All right. Well, there you go.
And well, it's called HTR or Hathor.
HTR.
And then going
And maybe beg your pardon, sorry.
KuCoin.
You want to do it on KuCoin? Do we want to look at it versus Tether, US dollar,
USDT.
Bitcoin?
You have to do the slash.
Yeah, and actually I've heard a lot of people, I saw a lot of chatter online today about how, Tether's all responsible now and they're the trustworthy source. I couldn't believe it. It's remarkable how the times have changed, eh? Okay, so we want to do this on KuCoin?
Yeah.
All right.
I was just looking at this chart and
well, you know what? You've been working with me long enough now. What do you think Brian's gonna say? And if we could get you to the point where you could actually do this, then you're awesome, right? Let me help you out a little bit here. Once upon a time in a land far, far away, big old M came in the market. Boom,
Yep.
boom, boom. And then this is the worst part about this. And I think I've done this with you before. What are you supposed to think if you ever see
your market smiling at you?
Yeah. So can you see the smile?
It wants all your monies.
So if you see that, right, and this actually confirmed that date right there, when you see that, that's a bad sign. And remember I said earlier, the moving averages, why do I like using these moving averages? Do you see that moving average cross right there?
Yep.
So that's another validation that we got trouble. But what's really interesting about this, and actually I think even Bitcoin did this today. I was putting out a lot of tweets and stuff recently about how it looked like Bitcoin was setting up short setups. So we'll see how that plays out. For the record, I did do a demo short trade for our audience today. But you can see this first smile. And then if you ever see a smile within a smile, oh boy, that's dangerous. So there's this yellow big one. But also too, hopefully you can see there's also this littler one right there, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's like a double smile. And I'm a really big fan of triple tops and triple bottoms. I find they're very, very reliable. So we've got 3 highs. If I was shorting here, believe it or not, I would actually want to short there, and I'd actually want to risk to new highs. That's a huge risk window. So I don't think I would do this trade, right? Me personally, I prefer a market looks something like this. So I'm going to short that. I'll risk against that high. And really what I'd like to see is 50% of this move is my profit objective. So that would be something along these lines. And what does this reward if I force myself to take profits at that 50% roll? What ratio do I want to see to justify actually doing this trade? Can you remember?
2 to 1 because you want to pay yourself first, or
Damn
pay
straight,
yourself
man.
more than you would lose.
Right. So can you see here? And this, I just drew this, right? Do you see how? Oh, look at that 1.9. Well, I was close. So eyeballing it, I'd probably want this low to be a little bit lower. So that 50% level is a little bit lower. But do you see the logic of that trade?
Yes.
So right now, when I look at this, I wouldn't do this trade because you can see the 50% level is basically right there. So I'm going to short there and I'm going to take profits there. And I have to risk all the way to new highs. Not likely. So just because the asset is breaking down, that doesn't necessarily mean you should do the trade. And like this is getting back to what we talked about in this, where a huge portion of our education program is just simply is defining, what is an attractive trade? Is it actually worth taking the risk? Because you want to make money from trading. That's the whole point of this exercise.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you identify that, yes, this is a downtrending market, that doesn't necessarily mean you're actually going to take the trade. What I also see too, can you see how we have like little m? So you might have come in off of something like this, up, down, up, fail. Maybe done like a Foggenbaum off of, and actually this is well, okay, we won't get into that. I just spend too much time. I'll want to look at the 5-minute chart next. Notice, look at this beautiful W down here, right? Do you see this? Down, up, down, breakout.
Yep.
And then it just kept making higher highs and higher lows. I mean, that's what I want to see. I want to trade that right there. That's beautiful. And so can you see if I do a 50% roll going back up here, this is a kind of trade that I could justify doing, right? We'll buy that level. We'll risk to a new low. And we'll take profits at the 50% level. And that spits out 3 to 1 risk reward, sexy sex.
Yeah.
Now, like you could sell like half of the position and move your stop to scratch on the remaining. And then, I don't know, let's just ride this thing, see where the hell it takes us. Maybe we just wait for a new M to come in and we actually end up selling the other half of the position on the breakdown here. And that's like a 5 to 1. So you had like a 3.5 to 1. You sold half of the position, then the other half at 5 to 1. So your average win on the whole trade was about 4 to 1 risk reward. Just out of curiosity, Joe, how often do you have to be right just to break even? Just to not make money, not lose money, just break even. If your average winning trade is pays you $4 versus you losing $1 if you're wrong, how often do you have to be right?
1.
Well,
Break even.
not exactly what I was going for. I mean, yeah, technically you're right.
Maybe I didn't.
Let's say you did 10 trades.
Okay.
How many of those trades have to actually work for you to just be a scratch trader? If you are forcing yourself to get paid $4 when you're right versus losing $1 when you're wrong, the answer is like 2. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe like 2.5 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Out of 10 trades, So this is why it's critical that you got to force yourself to get paid when you're right. And then let's say you're right only 50% of the time. Toss of the coin. This week I'm going to give you a pick and it's going to make 4-1. Next week I'm going to give you a pick. It's going to lose. You get stopped out, full loss. Week after that. Number one, are you going to likely want to sign up for my newsletter? Probably not, because you're going to be like, well, sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. But just think about this. If you did 10 trades and 5 of those trades paid you $4 and 5 of those trades lost $1, so you spent a total of $10, how much money do you have at the end of the equation?
Still in the green.
Well, you have $20.
Yeah.
Right? 4 times 5 is 20, right?
Yep.
You doubled your stake, and yet you're only right 50% of the time. That's the key to making money at this game over the long term.
Huh.
Anyway, most people new to the trading, they just don't get this. Okay, what do we see here now? So do we see right here, right now, this kind of WE action?
No.
No. In fact, if we were talking about moving averages earlier, right? Remember I had said we want to see the market go and close above that 13 EMA. Look how rejected. Well, look at that. It closed above the 13 EMA. Do you see that right there?
I do.
So what are the moving averages telling us now? Is that bullish or bearish?
Bearish.
Yeah, we're below. Yeah, we're not above. If you can actually get a situation where you get a W in price, move through this high here, and it breaks through the moving averages, and the moving averages cross bullishly, does that not sound like a pretty damn powerful signal? So maybe we just want to wait for that.
Okay.
You can see right now we're making, this is what it kind of jumped out at me when I first loaded this image. What letter of the alphabet is that?
M.
Yeah. What are we supposed to think if we see M's?
It's smiling at you. It's no bueno.
Yeah. It's getting ready to take your money from you. And
take
sure
your
enough,
money.
anybody who got sucked into the buy side up here, they're dying 1,000 deaths right now, aren't they? So, what I would say is, first and foremost, what was the number one reason we ever justify risking our hard-earned money in the marketplace?
The risk reward is 2-1.
Close. Location, right?
Okay.
3
Oh,
words.
yes.
Location,
Reasons to make the trade.
Location.
Yes. That's right.
And usually, if you actually have good location, then those kind of things like appropriate risk reward, that all lines up really nicely. So, again, I am a big fan of this reload zone concept. So can you see how we are dipping down into trade location?
Yes.
One thing that kind of bothers me though is you see how we dipped into trade location and then there was a huge rally away from there. So are we going to the well maybe one too many times? You ever heard that expression before?
Yes.
It looks to me like the market keeps going to the well, hoping to find buyers down here. And yep, this stab down found some buyers. And we came down again. All right, but not nearly as many.
That your BFF.
I don't think we've traded to that yet, eh? Isn't that interesting? So interesting that you remember that. But you're right. We have not traded to the BFF yet, have we?
No.
And what often happens, I told you this before. Do you remember what did we call this 78.6 to 88.6 level?
That
venture cap reload zone. And I don't know whether you've heard me say this before.
Make a note of that.
But I often see in my career, it's ridiculous. I can show you at least a couple times in Bitcoin, it did exactly this. Where it actually comes down and it stabs below my BFF. And then it actually turns around and puts in a W right off that darn level. So, viewers watching this later on, take note of this, right? And Joe, in your notes, say Brian says that markets love to often, you'll look back after the fact, right? Like we'll look at this chart, we'll load it up like a couple months from now. fact, I don't think this is going to happen this quickly. This probably doesn't happen until like over here. Do you remember what did I say seasonally is the normal time for these venture cap markets to actually bottom? Do you remember?
6 months prior to.
All right, that's a
Oh.
4-year cycle.
Oh, okay, sorry. Then sell in
I'm
May and
talking
walk
like
away.
seasonality.
Sell in May and walk away.
All right, that's the sell, and unfortunately, you can see here comes May, and oh shit. So that's happening. In fact, I put a tweet out. I even said earlier today, I put a tweet out. This is hilarious. Chris pointed it out. So I even said someone shared. Where truth be told, cat's out of the bag. Chris is the someone who I'm making reference to here. Look at what happened 2 years ago in May. Kaboom! You see that?
Yep.
And then look what happened last year, right on our goddamn birthday, because it turns out Chris and I actually share the same birthday. Kaboom!
Is that tomorrow?
Yeah.
Happy early birthday.
Well, thank you, Chris. I don't
Yes,
officially
you too,
celebrate
Chris.
birthdays anymore. And actually, Chris grew up in a household where he wasn't allowed to celebrate birthdays. So we're officially not going to mention tomorrow.
No bird. That's why I'm mentioning it today.
But I mean, isn't this incredible? This is
Yeah.
what I'm talking about that crypto does. And this was what was this? What site was this? This was like
DeFi
the
Llama.
DeFi index. What was it, Chris? What was the name of this place? DeFi Llama
Llama.
or something.
DeFi Llama. Yep, that's it.
Yeah. And he showed me this and he's like, Brian, hey, you want to see something funny? Look what happens around our birthday. So this is what I'm talking about with the public is, sometimes this can be an absolute train wreck. But notice, look where the market bottom. What date is that?
July.
July.
Yeah.
You see the little W that came in right there?
Yeah.
What do you think that's all around? Beginning of July. What happens the end of June, beginning of July?
They re-enter the markets.
No, you're an American too. Gee whiz.
Oh, 4th of July?
Yeah.
Really?
So, there's people that, and they're even talking about it in the bank sector right now, right? They're going, it's un-American to short stocks, right? Have you heard them talking in the banking sector? They actually want to outlaw people having the right to short stock. That's one way to guarantee the stock market won't go down, eh? Yes. You're not allowed to sell. This is a rise only market. Oh, by the way, hey, we're living in communist Russia now. I don't know whether you were aware of that, but hey.
But now you know.
Now you know. You've been informed. So anyway, and then also look here. Do you see July?
Oh, yeah.
And do you see the little W that came in?
Yep.
This is incredibly normal. So write this down. Get your journal out. Everybody who's watching this video, do your I don't tell you the guys this stuff because it makes my ego any bigger because my ego is already big enough. It doesn't need to get any bigger. I'm trying to tell you guys this stuff because I've been working in this business for 35 years. I know what typically happens. So do you see where July is on this chart? That's over here. And actually, I've been a little bit generous here, assuming that the market bottoms sort of the middle of May here and then breaks out in July. This whole thing might just have to happen over here. That could very easily be the case. But the point here is that I would not expect this market to really get happy again until we get to the end of June, beginning of July. So, and I often tell students and I often tell people that when I do these public shows, that very typically I'll look back over time, maybe the middle of the summer. Well, maybe this darn thing will go up like this. And near the end of this summer, we'll look back and we'll go, God damn it, it bottomed right in that damn 78.6. Right? It happens so often, it's ridiculous. So this is what I really want to see going forward. And you can see in the short term, I wouldn't hold there's no reason to be overtly bullish here right now, technically.
Understandable.
Okay, so that's probably, like, because we are making lower lows. I mean, it is interesting. Remember, we talked earlier, Willie is getting oversold, so that's a good sign. Do we have bullish momentum divergence out of our indicators yet? Not yet. It's trying to form here, but not quite yet. And where are the buyers? I don't see any buyers here at all. Look how the buyers, do you see this, Joe? And actually, anybody who's watching over on YouTube and stuff, do you see how the buyers came alive right here? And this is a concept that we teach in our level 1 program called volume impetus.
Okay.
So can you see how no interest, things were dead, red bars, that's selling. Where are the green? Then all of a sudden you can see the green people all started to come alive here. See that?
Come
Higher
out of the
bar,
woodwork.
higher green bar, higher green bar. You see that?
Yes.
That's what we really want to see if we're bulls. Now, this indicator here, the OBV, and I don't know whether this indicator is being drawn correctly. I have a feeling it's not exactly correct. We'll figure that out for episodes down the road. But just looking at this blue line here, you can see the W that came in, then higher highs and higher lows. So let's see, what does it look like right now? Do you see a W here?
Let's see an M. Oh, I guess at the way,
Yeah,
way end.
nasty M right there, right? Ugh. Another M right here. I mean, yeah, we have a little bit of an up, but what I really want to see, you can see they tried to W, but can you see how there's like no green bars? We had a bit of a green bar here, but even these green bars are lower than all these red bars. I mean, what I really want to see is I want to see higher green bars and higher, and I want to see this indicator W out.
Mhm.
And we got a nice little W breakout there. That's what I really want to see. So I don't see that at all here. So there's no real reason for me to get too excited.
Cool.
All right. So my apologies. Can't give you this silver bullet endorsement on this guy. I think you're still probably a little bit early. The one good thing, of course, I said this earlier. We are at or below reload zones. So, if you are like Brian, I don't want to overthink this. I'm a little old lady. I'm just I'm gonna go and buy like maybe a 0.5% of my portfolio size into this thing, maybe 1%. And I'm gonna do that like once a month over the next 2 or 3 months, and just what we call dollar cost average your way into the name. I love the fundamentals. I love the people who are behind the story. I believe in it. Okay. We are at a location where I can at least say, if as a professional broker, somebody calling me up on the phone saying, Brian, I really want to get into this thing. Am I chasing an up market, which is really stupid coming in on the buy side? And the answer is no, you're not. So that's a good thing. Is this actually a technical buy? And yes, we do expect to see higher prices in the near term. No, not yet. That makes sense?
It does.
Okay, cool. You think any of these people, Adam, what do you think? If you had a friend of yours and they were brand new to this whole trading thing, do you think what I'm doing here would be valuable to them? Do you think they would understand?
If you look at the comments, just got one. Learning heaps from these YouTube videos. Thanks, Brian.
Good, good. Henya. All right, Henya. Well, welcome to the fold. You can see Adam as he's posting a little bit over there. It's great. Hey, it's nice that I have one fan in this world. Way to go, Adam.
We do get significantly more views once uploaded.
Well, if anything, what we need, people, is can you please, if you are watching this video later on, do they comment? Do they post their thoughts?
We get comments like the day after, usually.
All right. Is
That
that on
I've
the
been
YouTube
responding
page or
to.
is that on
Yeah,
your
on the
Reddit?
YouTube page. So
Yeah. So let us know, people, if you're enjoying this. Number one, is it other people who are watching this or maybe going to watch this video? Because, there's a good couple hours that we do this.
yeah.
Is it worth them investing a good couple hours of their day to listen to the Beamish rant away here? And just let me know, because I want to go back and read these, and I want Joe to go back and read these and go, okay, cool. Looks like we're resonating with these people. And then by all means, if you have suggestions, Brian, you're too long-winded, you're too old, you're too ugly, maybe put on a dress or something. I don't know. Just let us know how we can somehow make this a better experience for you.
Yes, we're all ears. And we appreciate you guys for taking the time out of your days to listen and learn.
Yeah, yeah. Adam says there, I understand. Hard for me to talk to most people about market. Yeah, well, you're now on the other side of the equation, eh? And actually, I have to say, super proud of Adam and his work in the marketplace. And then he actually referred a friend of his who's also turned into just an absolute killer trader. So, and interesting enough,
Awesome to hear.
they're friends because they worked at a grocery store together. So isn't that interesting?
That is cool.
We build traders from every walk of life, you know?
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Back went to Twitter. I like your new NFT profile picture, Brian.
Well, that was I don't know whether you saw the Twitter feed, right? That's this thing here. Um, I actually, the gentleman who used to do these shows, he was sort of our crypto fundamental guy, gentleman by the name of Alex Stirk. I think I showed you his
Ubik,
picture from
correct?
before.
He's
He's a principal of this particular coin. It's called Ubik. And I'm almost positive that it's Canadian. I might be mistaken. It's interesting that the only place that they were listed, of course, was on Trex. So, not only did Trex leaving the US, but Trex also booted all the Canadians off of there too.
course.
So, but I mean, you tell me, Joe. Just really, really, let's keep this as simple as possible. Do you think Brian would be interested in investing in an idea where its chart looks like that?
My initial thing is no, because I'm seeing a lot of M's, but maybe on the lower time frame, it's
Well, I mean, I'm talking about investing. So this
oh,
isn't really a trade. Have you ever heard the expression buy
then
low,
yes.
sell high?
Yes. I thought you were saying like making this trade. Then yes, because
I mean, is this thing, I mean, and the funny thing is this is not even the highs. The highs in the 17-18 bull were like $8.
oh wow.
So here it is at 2 cents. So is this a kind of asset where Brian would be interested in accumulating this thing?
Yes.
And have you heard Brian talk about what his plan is for 2023?
That 2023 was gonna be bearish.
Yeah. And it's an accumulation year,
Yes.
right? If you want, and not a bad little sales pitch, I actually think our blog is better research than you're going to find on like 90% of all brokerage research
Yes.
sites. There's the link to our blog post. This was a study that our official blogger Josh put together. All the reasons why we thought 23 was a pretty good accumulation year, including, this is a study by a gentleman by the name of Benner, who
Mhm.
lived 200 years ago and put this study together 200 years ago. And it's telling us pivot points here 200 years in the future. I mean, that's ridiculous. And if anything, it just speaks to how this market is incredibly cyclical. But, and also too, we've talked lots about this, the 4-year cycles for Bitcoin. I actually expect this year to look like this. Remember Richard Wyckoff? Remember Wyckoff check? We talked about.
Yep, we talked about that.
This is what I think the year is going to look like. I interestingly enough, Bitcoin loves to bottom about 6 months ahead of the halving event, right? I think I even heard you say that back to me tonight. So you did hear that previously.
Correct.
So if this bottom came in somewhere in October, that'd be almost exactly 6 months to the halving event. And that's what this image is here, right? These are the past 3 cycles. 12 through 16, 16 through 20, and then our current cycle, 20 through 24. And I expect that we trough somewhere through this 23 year. And I actually expect this market to top in November, December 2025, just based on these very predictable cycles. So if that's the case, then I want to load up on everything and anything I can get my hands on through 23 here. And I want to force myself to come in and start buying assets that look like this. Now,
Okay.
I have 2 rules of investing. Do you remember the rules? Have I ever told you the rules? Maybe you've never heard them before.
No, I don't think so.
Actually, you know what? This might be a good opportunity. Share this with your community. Maybe put it in the video description. Description.
Yeah.
On, just below the video, they always go, hit the link is in the description below, that kind of thing. Have you seen that before by YouTubers?
Yes.
Right?
Click the link.
Right.
We'll
So
click the link
exactly.
in the description. Tap below.
So I actually have 2 articles that I wrote years ago. The first, and I give these out to everybody. The first is, the evolutionary process of all aspiring traders. Everybody starts out as a baby and you don't know what the hell you're doing. And your job is just to actually learn how to act. And then you end up getting to the point where you can stand up on your own 2 feet and walk around. And then ultimately, you practice using the muscles so much, you actually get to the point where you can run around and actually have fun in the market, right? But you can't do this when you're fresh out of the womb. It's impossible. So there is a very normal evolutionary process that all traders must go through. And that's basically what this is. First you learn how to crawl, then you learn how to walk, then you learn how to run. So I threw the link there into the chat box. Do you want me to give you this somewhere?
Yeah, if you want to just send it to me on Discord or something, and because I'm not seeing it in the chat, at least on YouTube.
Do you see the link that I put just above there to the blog? Did that show up?
No, it's not for me.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Maybe for someone else, but yeah, I'm not.
Yeah. Okay. So there should be a chat box here. I'll just give it to you manually. Where is that? That's over here. There. So in the Zoom call here, right? There's that link.
There we go. I got it.
And then the second document that anybody new to trading, you definitely have to understand this, is how do you actually progress as a trader? And all of us live on this cycle. Remember I showed you the demon finder, the report card, right? All of that is speaking to, we all live on this cycle. And it's just a trader's life, right? So you ideally want to have consistent behavior. You're working with a plan. You analyze your the data, right? All your recent trades. Remember, 100 paper trades for every new trader. You identify what behavioral problems you have, put supports in to try and help you solve those behavioral problems. Then you modify your plan with those supports. then you go and see, am I actually behaving correctly? And it's just around and around and around you go. So the point here is that there are two rules to this game. If you follow the rules, it's actually pretty hard to lose money. The only problem is almost nobody follows the rule. So rule number one, and that's what all this is about, is you want to try and have some sort of algorithm. Look at that. I wrote this back in 2017. So you want to have some sort of algorithm, right? Some sort of if then else, right? And anybody watching this and that's in the computer industry or a science background, this should speak to you, right? If then else. And you want that if then else, 3 reasons for a trade, right? You heard me barking about that, setups, right? All that. All setups are is just an if then else equation. So that's rule number one. And you want ideally that if then else equation to be like somewhere around 60-70% accurate. So, roughly 2 out of 3 times that you swing the bat, you're going to win. That's pretty hard number to get to, but if you follow the 3 reasons to justify taking a trade and those reasons are unrelated and it goes location, indicator confirmation, price structure, go, I think you can hit that number. Rule number 2, and this is what I was getting to originally.
Yeah.
Rule number 2 is all about risk management. You have any idea what rule number 2 is? Have I told you this before? I might have.
Don't risk more than 5%.
Excellent.
Adam.
So that means that if you have like 100 grand, right? You're not going to put more than $5,000 into any idea. Simple as that. And you are never, ever, ever allowed to break that number. Ever, 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 ever. Most of our traders, and it's like people that day trade, maybe even swing trade, they do a fraction of that 5%. They might only risk like 1% of their stake on a day trade. The key, though, is you are never, ever, ever allowed to break that 5% number. So, what is the maximum of the money that I have to work with that I'm going to put into a name like this?
5%.
Yeah, just that simple. If I have 20 of these ideas, and just think about this here, Joe. I mean, really, like I said, this isn't even the high. The high was $7, but let's just use this number. What was it that we said? What's the number that we want to use as sort of keep you honest, technical price objective for taking profits?
2 to 1.
GAN.
Oh, is that the 50%?
Excellent. Good job. Look where the 50% rule is here. That's 39 cents. Remember, where are these guys sleeping?
On the couch.
Do you think if we do actually get a rally up here, they're going to be motivated sellers?
Yes.
So do you see how, you might get a rally up here, but as soon as we hit this area here on the price chart, it's not likely that the price is going to go a hell of a lot lower or higher than those, because there's going to be a ton of guys sleeping on the couch that are desperate to get out of this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is 2 cents. So that's 0.2
Then you're going to be selling half on the double.
to 40. Can I make some money on that
Yes,
kind
sir.
of move? That's a lot of money, isn't it?
Indeed.
And as you said there just a second ago, is it realistic that I could see at some point down the road this asset trade back? And let's be generous, right? We're going to have shitty timing. We're not going to be able to hit 4 cents. Let's say 5 cents, right? So we'll even be a little bit generous. Let's say 5.2. Is it realistic at some point down the road that we may trade back to this teal line?
Yes.
Is that a possibility?
Yes.
I think so. I don't think it's outlandish. And if we do trade back to this line, I can sell half of whatever the hell it is that I bought down here. And now I have basically a risk-free trade, right? And I mean, let's go zero, like we said, from point 0.05 up to 40 cents, right? 39.6, whatever. Let's call it 40. I mean, hell, that's your Lambo right there. That's a lot of money. Like if you put like I don't know, 5 G's into this thing, like I said, you're working with 100 grand. I'll go throw 5 grand at this thing. If I do 20 trades that all look something like this, and only half of them perform, and they hit this like 10-to-1 risk reward, am I making any money? Making
Yeah.
a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's the logic. And like I said, 2023 is an accumulation year for me. I'm not really in a hurry with this thing whatsoever. But interestingly enough, as sort of one of the sweeteners for the deal, Alex threw in a couple NFTs for us. So
I love it.
it wasn't even really part of the deal. But, I went in, gave them a bunch of capital that they probably are desperate for right now. So now they got some bucks in their pockets. Me and another guy on the site went in. We went halves. And actually, I'm more than happy to go and buy another whack of this in 3 or 4 months. Maybe in 6 months, I'll go buy another equal portion
Accumulate.
because I'm nowhere near my 5% rule. Does that make sense?
It does.
I want to buy low when nobody else is interested, only 100 views on the YouTube page. And then when this thing does start to rally, I'm going to be spoon feeding into the euphoria. That's the way that I roll. It's so funny. We have this. We have a site programmer, one of the principals, Stuart, and he's Dutch, and he's just the sweetest guy in the absolute world. And he was buying Rend, and he's like, "Well, that's the way I roll," in a Dutch accent. It was like, "You're so gangster." It's just
That's great.
adorable. So hearing a white guy say, "Well, that's the way I roll," I don't know whether it makes any sense or not.
That's
But
great.
this is how I've played the market now easily for the past 20 years. It works, it's consistent. And actually, the very first technical analysis lesson that I ever got, it was from the commodities pits, and it was this 50% rule. You can literally set your watch to this. And this is a gentleman by the name of, if you want to do some research on your own, is a gentleman by the name of W.D. Gann.
It's funny. I have his
Very famous
Wikipedia page
market
open right
technician.
here.
Pardon me?
I have his Wikipedia page open right here. William Dilbert Gann,
Yeah, Dilly.
finance trader who developed technical analysis.
And my challenge to you is please try and find a picture where he is smiling. Do you have a picture on your Wikipedia page? I bet he's not smiling.
No, he's very
Yeah, very, very flat,
straight face.
which ironically enough is probably perfect for trading.
There's funny that there's an Investopedia one, and it's like it's hand drawn, and even that one's more of just like a smirk. It's like a
Anyway, so we all have a love-hate relationship with Mr. Gann on the site.
that's
And actually, what's really cool is one of our level 2 instructors. He's actually built a dynamic Gann tool, and every morning, Chris and I and he are we get together to trade the markets on the open. And he's always barking about Gann levels every damn morning with his script that he wrote. So Mr. Gann, you know what? You want to see something really freaky? This is yeah, I guess it's getting 7 o'clock, so we probably should wind this up soon. But Mr. Gann and his 50% rule, he is sort of, it's like he's opening up Pandora's box. And what do I mean by that? It turns out that the whole universe is based on math. And so, how do you explain the top of Saturn? Have you ever seen the top of Saturn?
no, sir.
It's the weirdest thing. It is actually angular.
Huh.
That's what the top of Saturn looks like.
Crazy.
And it turns out that these are actually 120-degree angles. And the whole damn universe works off of this math. Like I've told you a little bit about chaos theory and bifurcation, right? Did I
Yeah, we
throw
talked
that
about that
bifurcation?
earlier.
Right? This is math. And so Mr. Gann is the kind of guy where he's trying to reveal the secrets of the universe through math. And it's freaky, some of the stuff that he stumbled upon in his studies, right? Square of nine. You ever heard of the square of nine? That's a concept that goes back to ancient Egypt. Also, too, they have octagon. Is it octagon? I think it's octagon. Anyway,
The shape.
which goes back to like Vedic Indian studies. He went to the Middle East and he went to India and studied for years and years and years. But like if you ever really want to fry your brain, why does the top of Saturn look like that? I mean, you would think, like the Earth is round and circular and orbits and all that. You would think that the top of this planet should look like a circle. Why does it look like that? So there's actually a lot of math involved in our universe. And one of the basic core concepts that you can teach yourself is this Gann's 50% retracement rule. And it's really cool. It's consistent as heck. So anyway. Well, what do you think? Did you enjoy our conversation here tonight?
I did. Again, learning more information each time we do this,
Good, good.
as with our listeners. So we appreciate you.
Well, I mean, all I can do is try my best. I hope that people feel like I'm making a positive difference in this world. There are the two, for anybody who's watching right now, you wanted those two links to those documents. I put them in the chat there.
And I don't know if it's refreshed on your guys' pages, but on the YouTube description, they are both in the description now.
Excellent, cool.
So
And then also
I
too, I
updated.
gave you the link to that blog.
If you could send that blog in the chat.
Sure.
Actually, wait, I have it up right here. I'm just doing it on my own, so
Oh, good. I can
I've
give
got
it
it
to you.
here
Boom.
and
There you go. Merry Christmas.
edit, and there you guys go.
So, full disclosure, am I looking for a massive rally in Ubik right now? Absolutely not. But am I enjoying my little teaser, fun little treat for participating and giving the Ubik people a bit of money with my free NFT? And I even said it's official. I am now officially NFT'd.
There you go.
And I don't know whether
Love the hair.
were you in the crypto space when Doge ran up to 70 cents there?
Oh yes.
All right. So through that, I was long Doge from basically nothing. That trade paid me six figures, really a lot of money.
Yeah.
I was actually able to sell more than half of our position at about 57 cents. I think that's where I got out. But through that event, and of course I was cursing at the public, for God's sakes, don't buy this. I mean, it was ridiculous, the shills that were going on.
Mm-hmm.
But just the point being that when that was going on, I said publicly on YouTube, on social media, I said, if they take this damn thing above $2 a coin, which would have been a lot of money, to me, that would have been over $500,000. And that to me is a lot of money for like one shit coin. I was going to officially change my name to Sedona Euphoria. And I was going to we were looking at it was like a 50-acre plantation down in Georgia that was for sale for $500,000. And I said I was going to change my name to Sedona Euphoria, and I was going to go buy that. It was a beautiful old colonial house, and I was just going to become landed gentry and walk away from social media and all of this space. I was done.
The dream.
So they never, well, it was more of a joke, really,
I know.
because the price was just going straight up. It was ridiculous,
I
right?
know. I thought I was a genius. I bought in like less than a penny, and I sold at 8 cents. And I was like, oh, like, and then it kept going up. I was like, 10x your money, you're good. Just that's all you can think about. And that was like in a couple of days,
Yeah.
couple of weeks. I bought in like right as like the rumor started swearing. I was like, you know what? Putting I only put in like $50 at the time too. So
Yeah, what the hell?
but I was like, hey, it made something, but I was that got out at that. I thought I was a genius.
All right. So to that end, and thinking about the NFT and the silly hair color, I've publicly said that if and when, and believe it or not, I actually think this is going to happen. But I said that if they do decide to take Ubic to new all-time highs, I put it out in a tweet somewhere here. There it is there. There, okay, so there is the old high, and this is another charting program, but whatever. You see, that's 70 cents there. But if we actually look further down, um, I actually posted the chart. Oh, where the hell is it? Anyway, oh darn it. Anyway, I said that if they take this thing to new highs, I will officially dye my hair purple online. And I tell you what, let's do it on the Coinigy show.
Let's do
We
it.
will make it a public broadcast, and Brian's going to go purple.
That's
But the
amazing.
key is that Ubic has to close a weekly close above $8 a coin. And believe it or not, into this 25 peak, I could actually see that happen, because this crypto goes absolutely nuts. And if that does happen, then it's another one of these Sedona euphoria things. I'll be sitting on enough money. I'm just going to go buy a big chunk of land with a nice house on it and retire in the countryside and kiss all of you goodbye.
The last we hear from you.
So that's the story behind the NFT for anybody who's asking. So anyway.
That's great. Well, thank you again.
All right. That's actually it's after 2 hours now, so we probably should call it a night at that. What do you think? We did a couple names. I guess it wasn't.
Yeah, we got through some. And the nice thing is it's each week we're doing different coins too. So it's interesting to kind of learn and just see some more even just some names, asking people on Twitter. I'm hearing about names that I hadn't heard of before too. So it is cool.
Well, that's one thing you got to be careful of in this space. And you can kind of see it here with Ubic, right? As soon as these things get listed on these exchanges and stuff, like this is a USDT quote, you can kind of see how like it pumps up a bit. And that first name that we looked at, what was the first one that we looked at? It was basically,
Pepe.
actually, I suppose Pepe is probably like that, eh?
Yeah.
Like if we look at Pepe versus USDT. Oh, that's no good. Which one was it? This is a weekly chart, so maybe that was it.
We did, yeah, USDT.
So can you kind of see that similar kind of, that Ubic quote had a big spike and then it had to come all the way back down to nothing, right?
Yeah.
And in a weird sort of way, I mean, it kind of sucks, but I've said this repeatedly. When you start hearing people talking about these meme coins and them going up like crazy, the public is trapped up here. There's a big wick. These guys, they're sleeping on the couch right now. The question is, how long are they going to be stuck sleeping on that couch? And it might be years. Like this Ubic here, same sort of thing. These guys that bought in here, that was 2021. So they've been sleeping on the couch now for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Yes, and these guys over here, who knows when they're going to get released? I mean, geez, that's now, is that 2000? No, that's like March, April. Oh boy, look, there's May. What happened following May?
Crash.
Bottom in July. Do you see how the bottom came in there in July?
Uh-huh.
Counter trend rally into the fall. And then, down we go. So anyway, if anything, what I would expect is this thing bottoms sometime the middle of July. Hopefully, we get a rally back to this teal line. I can sell half on a double, probably into these wicks. You see that big wick right there?
Yeah.
Right into those guys. These guys get released from the couch. I sell half on a double. I have a risk-free trade going forward. So what you're gonna see, Joe, if we do this right, is it's the same thing over and over and over. And if you learn how to play this game right, man, there's a lot of money to be made here. So,
Indeed.
yeah, I'm gonna try and stop talking now.
Well, thank you again, Brian and Chris. Truly appreciate both of you guys. And for everyone that's tuned in and everyone that's streaming this after, we appreciate your guys' support. Thank you, Adam, for your comments throughout and bailing me out on some of Brian's trickier questions. No, I can count on you. Look over this screen and see I got a comment with an answer from a trusted source.
Yeah, actually, and just FYI for whatever it's worth, tomorrow is one of the 2 days of the week that I spend with my son. He is low functioning special needs. And you can see how Adam, at the end of all these shows, I always ask the viewers, although thank you, Adam. Adam's making up for everybody else, but I always ask the viewers to wish us luck. Liam has behavioral issues. And I just noticed that when I ask the world to just say a karmic prayer for Liam to be in a good spirits and good frame of mind, usually those days actually go pretty well. So you can see Adam already there's wishing me luck with Liam tomorrow. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And anybody watching out there, if you know what a life with a severely disabled offspring is like, and sadly my wife passed away 12 years ago, it's just Liam and I in this world. Tell you, it's a challenging life. So thank you very much for the best wishes, Adam. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I wish you the best of luck as well. And that you guys have a great day tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
So, all right, guys. Well, as famous Brian Beamish once said, that's all for now. Take care, guys.